What is this happen? This is live right now on YouTube as well as happen. Are we live? Then we'll march. Like this.
Oh, let's check.
And now we are open on YouTube and we are referenced. You want to see this? You want to see this? Hello?
Yeah, you can sit anywhere over there for now, and once you get approved, you come on over to this side.
Whoa, fancy though. Is that good? Is that light?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fire.
I'm not already still with fire.
Fire.
I use fire all the time.
You know, we've been building girls.
Whoa, it's lighting
This is
up.
my spot.
You can do this later.
What do you mean?
Oh, you know?
Okay, we're live.
Are you sick? Very sick. So sad. Why?
All right, Erica, you can tweet that we're live.
Okay, but can I move this?
Oh my God. You're dying.
I'm sure you don't care if you move it.
I've been talking to you so many times.
Whoa!
Oh.
That's close. I just can't find my name.
I just looked up the internet, so I'm on the side.
If you didn't move it back, I'm
I just
sorry.
looked up the internet, so yeah, it doesn't have Wi-Fi.
I just moved it one
Yeah,
time.
it does. I hate this thing, but
What is that?
It's a borrowed computer. My original laptop died last week.
It just
We
died.
are live.
Wait, what are your files?
Most of the files were online, so I guess
Yeah.
it wasn't like stuff that I can save.
Where are you usually?
Most of the files were
Well,
bad.
I sit right here.
Yeah. Hey, like, who actually looked at college council now?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Look, these on the best of those.
This is a bad angle.
So sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I voted myself for all
I
of
really
them.
hope you enjoy.
You voted one per. I voted.
Whoa, wait. One per is in like you only vote one person?
Yeah, you can only vote.
Oh, I put like 4 people for freaking things.
You can't do that.
Wait, hold on.
Just-
I voted that. I actually saw like this, after you answer, it actually lets you see like, oh,
It shouldn't have. I changed
No, it
it.
doesn't.
I couldn't do it when I did.
Did you, were you one of the first ones? that-
Yeah. So like, how do you actually guys like decide that? Like,
I have
the
the.
different people are like, it's like.
She's got a straight
Yeah,
vote.
it comes-
I voted Nick is the loudest.
I said you're the oddball.
We're live. Don't worry, Nick, you do the real on the TV. When I put as the real, I'll just keep that one. It wasn't me.
I don't actually remember where that is.
I like how I feel.
Going home for Easter.
Go next.
Yeah, the goal. Yeah.
I like to be lower and lower.
Yeah. It was a little slow, but it was good. It was bold.
At least one follower. I want for insurance, but apparently now.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, yeah. I love that on the hospital.
Wesley's okay, they're not my favorite.
I don't want to pass, but like the people in hospital.
When did you do your office hours?
Sundress.
When did you do your office hours?
It's like so.
Oh, shit. Everyone smile.
Some of them did.
How many did you do?
I think it's so
It's not like color. I voted you for worst part.
Oh my God, you should have put your name too.
Literally.
That's actually like perfect. Oh,
That's exactly.
I should have done that.
It's 2:58.
Yeah, so let's start.
Hey, pay attention.
And mine was sugar free. I don't. Okay.
Wait,
I had a water jug. Do it again.
Wait, yeah, do it one more time. I need a better start.
Yeah.
just gotta talk through the entire thing. It's so much more fun. If you
Ryan!
the entire-
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Rabbits, that's not rabbits.
Oh, yeah,
Ryan.
with rabbits.
Ryan, we're live.
Yeah, exactly. And
We're
that's how-
We're all
accountable.
Make sure it looks better.
Frank should be here, don't know where Frank is. Karina and Sam will not be
Like
here.
that?
Sally
Yeah.
will.
Sam's
Or like,
Sad.
Oh.
I probably said sad. Karina and Sav will not be here. Willie P, that's why I said it. I don't know where Willie P is. And then,
let's see.
This is gonna be a really weird meeting.
We got Vanessa poll from the series. That's cool. Perfect.
Yay.
so,
Yes.
I would recommend holding a meeting up for anybody.
Thanks.
I've heard.
I kind of am,
Yeah.
Not USG downtown. Well, it's USG downtown.
Ronnie D.
Also-
Ronnie D.
He's in a meeting until 3. He'll probably be a little late.
I call this meeting to order at 3 p.m. We will start with roll call, once Samantha gets her laptop on.
Senator Schmidt. Here. Senator Rennes. Senator Prince. Yeah. Senator Cole. Here. Senator Zamora.
Here.
Senator Gray.
Here.
Senator Boyd.
Yeah.
Senator Hess. Here. And Senator Bunting.
Here.
President Frank. Vice President Tapscott. President Lopez. Director Miller. Director Harrelson. Chief of Staff Woodsman.
Here.
And Director Padwan.
All right, moving on to the approval of the meeting minutes. Without objection, we will approve the meeting minutes.
Oh, sorry, you're Director Passport.
Okay, so without objection, we'll approve the meeting minutes. We'll move on to approve of the agenda. Without objection, we'll approve the agenda. All right, we'll move to call the audience. Does anyone in the audience like to speak today before we begin?
Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. My name is Cord Jeffrey. I'm a representative from NLGJA, and I'm just passing along an update regarding CONHI Copias, the funding you guys gave us. We were budgeted for $600. We were $100 under budget. Approximately 150 people attended, and it was spent on Joe-Bot coffee and cookies, and we had a good turnout, good response, and we'll probably do the same thing again next year.
Thank you for coming back with you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have any questions for me?
Do you have photos from your event?
I don't on me, but we did a hashtag, and it's on Instagram. That was part of a contest we did in which we gave away Joe-Bot gift cards, and photos were put up online.
I have all the photos in my camera. So. Yeah.
You said you were underfunded last lately?
No, we were under budget, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right. Yeah.
So how did you get under budget? What was the difference from what you?
It was $100 difference, so it was $600 you guys budgeted us, and we only spent 500 of it. The price difference, from my understanding, was they just kind of cut us a deal once they figured it all out and put together the quantities that we needed.
Okay.
They just realized that it only would cost 500 instead of, I think, 550, which they told us, so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we will move on to executive updates, but none of them are here right now. So we'll go to the director report with the chief of staff.
Never my update be the first one ever, guys. I'll keep it kind of quick. Everybody should have gotten an e-bike for the end of your banquet. View and RSVP ASAP, please. We need to make reservations and orders for catering, and we need an accurate head count in order to do so. I got to yell at some people today. Sam and Austin, 3.5 after your 1 hour. You got 6 a week. Austin, I understand you're sick, but just try and make it up next week. Sorry, I love you, but You guys have to do 6 next week, or we're gonna start taking action. I'm gonna have to meet with you guys, because it is kind of your job. Todd Graham, as for athletics, Todd Graham will possibly be making his rounds to each campus within, I believe, the last 2 weeks of April. He did the same thing last year, kind of go around Q&A with Todd Graham at each campus to build support. And kind of end the year out on a high note, dining with the Devils. Certain sports will do this, dining with the Devils, where athletes will go to different dining halls around campus to talk with students, eat with students or whatnot. April 13th is softball. April 20th is baseball. Marketing will be out shortly. Banquet stuff is getting done. Sam's gonna have more details on that, but that is next Friday at 4:30 p.m. Sun Devil Fitness Center. Mark it on your calendars, e-bite, all that good stuff. That's about all I have, unless anybody has questions, comments, or concerns for me.
Nope, all right, thank you. Does someone want to amend the agenda to have President Smith's update next? We already passed that.
Sure. I'll amend it. So yes. So moved.
Someone second. All in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any objections? All right, your update.
You got it too nice, thank you. I don't know why you do that to yourself, but okay. So I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who went to Devils in Disguise in the President Crow Forum. It was really important to have USGD presence there, and I really appreciate everyone who did show up. So what I talked about at the very beginning of the year is a request for proposal, and what that is for Anton t-shirts. The request for proposal, it was finalized a while ago, but I just heard back from the guy today. I got an email that we're actually, so the selection committee has been assembled, people who were revising the request for proposal, and within, I don't know, things move really slow, but in the near future, I should be meeting with all the people who are going to be putting bids in for whoever ASU is going to have their contract with for t-shirts, whether that's Anton or whoever else is applying for this. And when I know more, I'll let you know of that. But within the request for proposal, it's like a 50-page document on all the things that we're looking for in a vendor to be sustainable, to not for their employees not to be working in sweatshops, and stuff along those lines. If you want to see that, just let me know. PTS, so we had a committee meeting earlier this week, as well as there were some questions that were raised the President Crow Forum in regards to parking, and Dee Montoya and I were also talking through related issues. So what we talked about is parking spaces. So that's a big concern on the downtown campus, that we need more parking spots. The prices are very expensive. But after some of our conversations, especially through the PTS meeting, there's 280 spots in the east parking lot. Yes, that's not an ideal spot, and that's more by the Mercado and by Chase Field. But what I'm assuming is until those spots are really filled, that's when things will move forward on getting more parking, because it shows to the university we have 280 spots open and we're not even filling those, so it's really a demand. So it's just that delicate balance right there. But right now, what Dean Montoya and I are doing is we're going to be reaching out to Chase to see if they'll be willing to partner with ASU to see if we can have additional parking spaces in there. Some other things that I brought up to her, as well as the committee, is, well, why don't we build up some of our existing lots? So what about building Cronkite up, or building McKinley a lot up, because they're real estate on the downtown location is very pricey. There's not a lot of it. But within the foreseeable future, what was said is the Cronkite lot, an academic building will be put there, so they're taking away more parking and putting more buildings there. The USEP parking garage in the future, that will be torn down again, and more academic buildings. But if you look at the McKinley lot, if we were to build up, or if we were to renovate it, have more parking spots, it'd be $10,000 a spot in order to do that. And that's not including infrastructure, construction costs, or anything. That's just to have one spot. So if you're really looking at investment, you wouldn't be getting a return on your investment for at least 15 years. about. So these are a lot of the things that are going into the conversation when we're talking about parking. So I want to let you guys know, keep you informed, so when your constituents are asking you about parking, you know what's going on. If you have any issues, you could definitely send them my way, because I have to share the parking and transit committee, so I can keep them updated. Ticketing, there hasn't been an update on ticketing, but I had a meeting with Safali today. She's one of the people high up in administration at ASU. And we'll be getting an update on that pretty soon, because right now, UTO, so the University Technology Office, is meeting with Pacquiao, and that's the ticketing software that we're currently using, and to see if we can have a ticketing distribution center on each campus. What would be the steps to do that? So they're currently in the talks, and we'll be getting an update on that pretty soon. So this is what I've talked about this before, is the baseball game. So this will be April 11th at 6:30. It's a Saturday. Dr. Run will be hosting us there. Will be free food there, and it's kind of a way to celebrate all the hard work that we've done in student government. So I just want, they're asking for a number to see how many members can go. I want to get a, can I get a show of hands of all the people that can be in attendance to that? And we can carpool, so, see, I can do.
Point of information, will we be able to talk to Rhonda at this meeting as senators?
Yeah, Dr. go ahead.
You guys put your hands up like all the way. Thanks. Okay.
How many?
10.
And then can you follow the people who are here, and then we'll, we'll be going. Okay, perfect. So the Sun Devil Success Centers, these are the tutoring centers. And one thing that was promised within the athletics fee is that we would extend the hours of that. And I had a meeting with someone from the Student Success Centers to see, well, they came to the COP meeting and we talked about extending the hours, because right now they kind of have extended hours, but they're in Taylor Place. But that could be really problematic for our students who are non-residents. They can't really get to the building. The building's locked and it's noon. And if you're not a resident of Taylor Place, you can't get in the building. So if they're trying to offer extended hours and they're saying they're trying to get all students to go to these, it can be really difficult when you can't even get into the building. So in the next fall, they'll be moving, or they won't be going to Taylor Place for extended tutoring. They'll just be staying in the University Center where they currently are. One sec. So they'll be staying in the University Center, and the hours will just be extended there. So they wouldn't be going to Taylor Place. So so non-residents can actually go to the tutoring services.
Taylor is actually open until 7. You just can't go through the front door. You have to go through the side door next to Starbucks.
Well, then after 7, they close at 5, and the tutoring goes on until 11, I believe. So either way, there is complications with getting into the building, and we don't want to send out messages if you're not a resident, you can't come to the tutoring for access to these. Yes.
I was just wondering how many students that didn't live in Taylor Place would actually still be on campus at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
I don't have that number, but I know some of my friends, they're here until 11, and he lives in Tempe. Our commuter students, they go to the library and study. I don't have an exact number, but I do know that some of our students do stay here, and not everyone is available between 8 and 5. So we have a lot of non-traditional students. We're trying to be very friendly to veterans, and some of those non-traditional groups, we want to make sure that we can provide the same level of service that we do for some of your traditional students per se. So we'll be working on that right now. Another thing that was brought up is, so they try to stick to a peer-to-peer mentor basis, and sometimes they can't fill those tutoring roles. So I said that our students shouldn't be getting any less service because essentially they can't find someone to hire. So we're looking at alternatives to see what we can do, because if they can't get a mentor for, let's say, chemistry, our students shouldn't. Well, it's like, well, you have to go to Tempe to get that tutoring. It's like, no. So does that mean we have faculty come in and maybe they do their office hours there? We have staff members. So what are some of the things that we do? I don't think the only reason why, or the thing inhibiting it, is because they want to stick to their structure of being a peer-to-peer mentor basis. I think our students should get the service no matter what, because they are paying into the service, and this is a service we want to make sure that our students are successful at the university. Boards and committee, what I told all of the executive board members is to have at the very least one person apply for a board or committee by next Friday, because every year the president has a hard time recruiting people for the boards and committees, and once they're officially in their role, it's summertime and it's very difficult to recruit people. So in order to make it easier for the next administration, and congratulations to Ryan and the rest of his team who aren't here, but congrats on winning by a landslide. So yeah, in order to make it easier for them, I told all the executive board members to get one person to apply by next Friday. And if you guys could get some people to apply, I would appreciate that as well. Executive board bylaws, we never voted on those at the last meeting. We forgot. We know a lot of them. We talked about other things, but so it's just a couple things that will be added to the executive board bylaws. And we'll be voting on those at our next meeting. Sam, can you just make sure that that's on the right agenda that we vote for? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. And then I also had a meeting with Expect More Arizona. They do a lot with engaging the community, getting people to talk about education. And I'll also be setting up a meeting with them, another meeting with myself and next year's administration, so they can see how they can engage the students who are registered to vote. They have a lot of resources, and I think it could be really beneficial. They have a lot of really good ideas. And A4 is next week, April 8th and 9th. I encourage you all to come. I think you can learn a lot from it, and definitely express some of your concerns. If you're concerned about something, you can definitely bring it up there, let them know how you feel about a particular issue. And last week, we had a meeting with President Crow, and we talked about tuition, but I'm not at liberty to really go into detail. But I can tell you what President Crow has said publicly is that there will be a 0% tuition increase for in-state students. That's what he said publicly. He also said that there may be an increase for out-of-state students and international students. But everything goes public on the 10th, and the tuition hearing is, I think, the 20th. Yeah, so it's the 20th, and I don't know if we have a place confirmed yet, but I'll get that information to you all. You guys will all know about it, and this would be a great way to express your support or your opposition to tuition increases. And there'll be a site at every location at ASU. It'll be broadcast across the state, so you can definitely be there to speak for your constituents. Thank you.
Moving on to director of operation.
Super quick. Okay, I'll make this one quick for you. So one thing was with talks with my friend Kareem, obviously, we heard about USEN parking actually might not be torn down just yet, but they're planning on doing it in the future. Can you give us like an estimate of how much time we have?
Yeah. So because Kareem came into the meeting, and this is something we talked about last year. Last we talked to them before they said it was going to be extended longer. It was between 5 to 10 years. So it would be after that point. So I would say, again, this is just a guess right now. I would say 15 to 20 years maybe. Okay. So after that, it would be academic. And again, that's a guess, so don't quote me on it.
And then second question, 280 spots in the East Garage. I remember when we were talking about city parking balance and such, that we were under the assumption that we had completely no spots whatsoever on the downtown campus. Did we simply not know, or are those things that have happened out of attrition?
Yeah, I think, like, I didn't really know about the parking lot over there, so I think it could have been to educate. I don't know exactly what that is. What's the question?
So there's 280 spots that are being reported to be empty in the East Garage. When we were working with the city, we were claiming, and we were under something, at least my side of things, was that we had no parking at all.
So here's the thing about the East Garage. The thing about that is a lot of people are certain factors. Those, we are practically full over there. But the thing is that those parking spaces are only available until 5 p.m.
Yes.
So students who actually have that space, if they're taking night classes, they'll have to use like the first, second, third, and fourth half month.
Okay. Thank you. Lastly, I know some of the absences already from Savannah and Karina, for instance, but you're kind of sparse out there. Can you tell us why, for instance, Sally isn't here?
Sally had a family emergency.
Okay.
And she let me know 24 hours in advance. But I couldn't tell you why. The rest of the members are here. They're supposed to be in communication with Nick.
Will's the only one who was not in communication with me.
Okay.
And I just talked to him. He got off work late, but he didn't let me know 24 hours in advance that he could be late. So this is going to be one of his unexcused absences.
And our director is sitting in the Senate, so it looks like we have lots of people up here too.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the Director of Administration. Sam, your report.
So, as Nick said earlier, the banquet will be next week. We were thinking we could get back, but, changing plans, it's going to stay this next Friday. In case, I guess, yeah, invitation for you guys and all, it's going to be approved for the SDFC. And, it's semi-formal attires, you know, girls with dresses or skirts and guys in like slacks and up, I guess, like tie. I guess whatever guy formal, semi-formal is, I'm not really sure about that. So I have a meeting with Ron and I'm gonna talk to the girl about catering sometime next week, early next week, and send her pieces of everything. So everything's pretty much done. What I do need though, Erica, if you could make a slideshow and everyone could send pictures, if they have pictures from the Mets, or just like USGD like hanging out and the pictures with people in USGD, can you send those to Erica and the slideshow going accordingly quick? And that's pretty much all I have to say right now.
So we had heard a little bit through the grapevine of certain things. So the catering for this event has not been ordered yet.
No, we've been in discussions with Chrissy since about 2 days ago, but the menu has not been decided yet. So Ron's emailing me the options that she has given us for the type of event we want. We're just waiting for everybody to RSVP. So if you have an RSVP, please do, because we do need to know a head count of how many people will be attending so we know how much food to order. But and then Joe and Joe got to just pick a menu. They're already kind of pre-made.
Okay. And so decorations and everything else are already lined up, and we don't have to worry about that?
Yeah, tablecloths will be ordered from the girl who's doing the catering for Chrissy. She's giving us the tablecloths. Once her and I pick the menu, I'll tell her the color tablecloths that I would wish to have. Ron and I are meeting on Wednesday to go to Michael's and to get everything that's needed to finish the table settings and decorations and stuff like that.
Right, there's what's going to happen if any of these fall through. It seems like we're really on the wire and just want to say that we're buying this.
That was a big discussion and a big debate about switching the date because I thought it would be a little bit easier to have more time to get everything done, but we met some resistance. So we're just going to keep it at the date, and I'm sure I can get everything done by then because it really won't be too much work at this point. It's kind of our own finish.
Any other questions? All right. Up next, we have Director of Public Relations, Director Miller. Your update if you can.
Hi guys, so I kind of don't have a voice, but kind of sick all week, so I can kind of let me know. So yeah, I was gonna tell you guys today, go to the website, look at the resource tab. And did you click on it? I literally just clicked on it, like to be like, oh, you know, like I'll read off of it, and it saved the list I made of the stuff, like and published that on the website. Where's like the word? I don't know. I just took it off. I literally just took it off because it was a list of like, it was the list from last week of all the stuff I was gonna do. So I already had all the stuff on my computer because I made it once, so it's gonna be faster to put it back together. So look for that tonight and let me know if you guys think like anything else needs to be put on there at the library, at bike co-op, and health services. I have the safety trolley on there. A link to the athletics website with like ticketing information. I don't know if I was talking about the library. I have the library on there. Sorry. But yeah, I just need to put it back in and make sure I save and publish both. But yeah, that'll be up tonight. So look for that and let me know if anything else I can add to it. Another question I had was during office hours, I had a student ask me about health services downtown compared to in Tempe. I don't know if anybody can like help me answer questions about that. Yeah.
Okay, so Tempe has way more health services. I know, for instance, you can't get like X-rays here, but you can get them in Tempe.
Okay.
If you go to the health services website, it'll show you what you can get downtown and what you can get in Tempe.
Okay.
Any like, also I think any like like women issues, you gotta go to Tempe. Like, so if you really, it's kind of hard for students, honestly. If if something like bad's happening, like you broke your leg, and are you gonna hobble over the bus? Or the light rail, I don't know, but yeah, so just look on the health services and it'll tell you.
Okay, cool, yeah, that's what I kind of told them, but, all right, thank you. That's it for me. I've been kind of like low all week because, but next week.
Should we move the bills and such eventually over, because there's still stuff from 2 weeks ago that are sitting in the proposed sections. Yep, that's all I got though.
Okay.
Up next, we have Director of Marketing, Erica, you're up.
So the college banners, I know Frank talked about doing this, but I don't know if it's going to be a thing. But if it is, I was just thinking of getting vinyl banners, and then I did get permission from all of the colleges to have the logo that they use for the graduation. Just my biggest concern with that is I don't really like having like the graduation logo just sitting in the student center when I think that it should be like special for graduation. So like maybe we could come up with like a new, like a different design, like showing like college nursing and not like students doing nursing stuff in the back or whatever. But I don't know how you guys feel about that. But they said that anything to do with their college, obviously get on board with them. And then also, like on top of the college banners idea, I also reached out to Herberger Institute and actually wanted to get their students involved in it, and maybe like instead of ordering vinyl things, we can get those done like free. So I reached out to them, no response though. So if I don't get anything to them by the end of this week, I'll probably just start coming up with those. Okay. And then the USGD lawn signs are finally up everywhere. We ordered like 5, but they're around campus if you guys see them. Tuesday, I'll be Earth Day shopping with Ron. So we're just gonna buy paint because we are reusing, we're gonna be reusing the lawn signs that we have that are extra that we probably won't use ever again because that's like other people's faces on it. So we're gonna reuse those and try to use them for Earth Day. You guys should have gotten an email about the banquet superlatives. So far, I have 10 responses. It's anonymous, so I don't know who sent those in. So I think there's like 18 that's updated, a couple more, but it was really fast response from you guys. Thank you for that. And then as far as the CONHI direct admit nursing fee, I know I was doing that while I was a senator, but I'm still doing stuff with that. So I found out that nursing is actually like the most expensive program that we have at ASU. So cutting like any source of income that they receive is probably like unlikely. So with administration, as far as talking to them, they do offer a lot more like university grants from their college. So I guess that's like the only way they can supplement for that, but other than that, it's just yeah, there's nothing we can really do as far as like reducing the $1,000.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, so I met with Dr. Run today, and I brought that up to him about the $1,000 fee. And the thought behind it is, so nursing has to generate as much revenue as possible because it is the most expensive program offered at ASU. So they do have, if you're a direct admit, you pay that $1,000. And the thought process behind that was the nursing students should be paying for their program instead of putting that burden on all students at ASU. So making, let's say, every student at ASU gets paid $500, that's it. That money would be going to a program that they're not going to be utilizing the benefits to. So that's kind of what the thought process behind that is.
Right.
Question, do we have any information on whether or not the paint will be more expensive than than the actual new lawn signs? I'm great with the sustainability aspect, but I remember last time we saw, and I'm obviously trusting because we got the cheaper paint, but the last I saw with the acrylic paint was bloody expensive.
Yeah, I don't plan on getting acrylic paint. I mean, I was planning on getting like spray paint and then probably using like clear because that's like the cheapest. I don't plan on spending more than like $40.
Perfect, thank you.
Moving on, since I guess I'm, oh, if you know.
I moved to amend the agenda so we can discuss the major math issues.
Oh, yeah, after my update, there's one more executive.
Well, we can add.
Yeah.
The entire.
Okay, where would you like to add it in?
Right before the forward updates.
Okay, yes. Ryan, you second that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, all in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right. So that's my update now. So you may have gotten an email from Ryan about the Chipotle Regents meeting. That's mandatory unless you have a class or something. It's like, is it free food?
Yeah.
It's free food and like it's important. So, and it's Chipotle, so like you guys can get down there. And then I'm gonna need help with this, probably from you, Erica. I have a bunch of tickets to give away for my other job for concerts, and I think, but I need people to be in the office to give it away because I think it'd be a good event to have people come down. And so I'll make a spreadsheet after I figure out how many tickets I have to give away, and then if you guys could, I'll send it to you. If you guys could volunteer that, and then you can tweet that out, that'd be super cool. It looked like most of you did filled out your time sheets well before the meeting. Some of you didn't, but I talked to you. So yeah, good job, everybody. That's all for my update. So,
What a direction.
yeah.
What event are we giving tickets away?
Oh, it's so it's my other job, but we have like 30 or 40 tickets, and it's all like local Phoenix bands. It's really cool, and it's for all ages, so it's all like appropriate. It's just on the street, so I thought I just have a bunch of extra tickets. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the appointment of Maryann for the nursing position.
That was just the appointment.
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Maryann, and I'm a student at the College of Nursing and Health Innovation, and I'm also Vice Chancellor for the National Residence Hall Honorary. And I'm really excited about USGD because you guys do a lot more with the whole campus as opposed to just Taylor Place. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot of things, not just this year, but possibly next year too. So just wanted to introduce myself.
Any questions for, yeah?
Not a question, just mentioning government operations does recommend. Check.
Does anyone have any questions for Maryann?
Okay, I move to vote on the appointment of Maryann Hoang for Senate seat in CONHI.
Sorry. All in favor of appointing Maryann as for the Senate seat, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Welcome aboard. You can find a seat up here somewhere.
You can sit this at next time.
So next on the agenda is discussing some of our troubles with VAC, but Mr. Patmore is here. Ryan, do you think we can continue without it?
Last question, it was on the floor right now.
He said ETA was about 20 minutes. I'd say about 10 minutes ago, so expect 10 to 15 minutes when we move down.
That should move it down.
Okay.
I was going to move to amend VAC discussion on the agenda down after our college reports, just at the end of that.
Okay. Second. All in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? So next we will have the major math discussion. Is there a motion to discuss? You can have the floor.
Okay, so the major math issue document went out 2 weeks ago, and I know some of you did it, and some of you told me they have some concerns, from like Lawrence College especially. So is there anything else that you guys want to add to it, and we can have right now? Because me and Tanya are going to go to the.
Yeah, so what we'd be doing, sorry.
Yeah, you got
I don't want to,
Yeah.
It's be a order. But yeah, so his name is Dr. Corey. He's the vice provost of to university, and I'd really like us to go in there and have a robust conversation about major maps. I remember when I was a freshman, he was actually the dean of my college, and we sat down there and he said, well, what do you think about the major maps, right? And I didn't really know, because I never used it. I was brand new to the university, but I've heard a number of students express concerns about the major maps. And as representatives, I think it'd be really great if, again, Nikita, myself, and if anyone else would like to join, to have really that robust conversation about what we can do to improve the major maps, because this is something that he's very passionate about. So Nikita, wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what do you guys think about the major maps? Are they good? Are they bad? What can be improved? What are your thoughts on them? And what can be done to improve them?
I think the major maps, the one benefit I can see from using them is that they put out things in a clearly organized manner as compared to the DARS report. Whenever I look at the DARS report, I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's very confusing. I mean, that's just the kind of person I am, or it really is confusing. But yeah, he knows. And then, I mean, that is the one benefit of the major map. But at the same time, it lays out everything so, I don't know, it's by term. So like if I was always mixed up in how my advisors laid out my schedule. I never followed major map. So like I'd have to like, wait, I've done this in the major map, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And like you almost had to create your own. So it'd be awesome if we could almost have an interactive major map like for yourself. You know? Kind of like a DARS, but like major map. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
Emily?
I agree, because I think, like, I already like looked at the major map and kind of like planned out what I'm gonna take for the next like 3 years. And so I like having that there, but like she was saying, like I didn't take my classes in the like normal order that people do. I chose to take my like lab sciences differently. And so when I met with my advisor to go over my schedule, she typed out kind of like a map and printed it off, so I have it. So I have all the classes that I'm gonna be taking specifically that I chose already. So I don't know, something like an interactive map would be kind of cool, where maybe you could like click and drag, like if there's a list of all the classes you have to take, and if it says like what the prerequisites are, but then you could like kind of click and drag it into your own little map, so it'd be like more personalized.
Kind of like, excuse me, what she was saying, if we have like a way to, it would show like what exact like requirements you had to take like first, and it showed like every class that you could take that would fulfill that requirement. Because like I know there's tens of classes that like can fulfill like your science credit or your what have you, and then like based off that, be like, oh, once you take that, you can go and take this and have like the next list of classes. That way, yeah, like they're saying, it's building like your own personalized map, but like also like you see all the options in front of you. So like probably even be like, oh, I can take this, I might be able to take this, and I'm not sure, stuff like that.
What if it was kind of like a DARS, but not DARS? Like you see your major map, and then like all the ones that you have completed would be like highlighted green, and then everywhere where you still need to take would be red. So it's like a bit, it looks like the major map, but it's kind of like highlighted, like you would highlight off the things that you've done, make it a little bit simpler, because the DARS report, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo, a lot of stuff going on, and it freaks me out. A lot of stuff going on.
It's like the DARS, they kind of already do that.
Yeah.
Check the green check.
Yeah.
X, so.
Yeah, but it's kind of, that's what I'm saying, like kind of like meshing the major map and the DARS together, because the major map looks clean, but the DARS provides the information that you really need. So kind of if it was like one type of thing, I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that personally, I actually like the major map, because the fact is, it's not that difficult from my side, just because I'm mix and mingle, but I do have to keep a little list on the side of what's going on. So if we had red X's, green, things like that, that might make it especially better. But the thing here is stressing the fact that it is a recommendation and not a requirement. I think that's where we're going to get into some trouble. Some people believe that it is the only route that you can take, and the fact is the major map is built there to be a guideline of here's what are the required courses, here's the areas where you can have this kind of flexibility. Because the thing is, when you look at it, it's just keeping all of that in your mind, and that's where that kind of idea of what you've already done and what you need to be done will be very nice to have. Compared to the DARS, once again, great system, but it just has too many numbers, too many things, people get distracted by it. And I would answer too that the major math works wonderful for freshmen because they're already in it. But transfer students have it much more difficult, and that's where I think we're gonna actually have the most room for improvement with major maths, because the transfer students have to make sure all their classes have actually transferred over for different credits, making sure that we weren't that way. I know AZ Transfer has been trying to make that better, but the transfer students are the ones who complain to me more than anybody else. The freshmen seem to be fine with the guiding force as it is. And I think that we don't want to dismantle it completely, because then obviously we have freshmen who would be confused on what their class course load would be.
And I know it's like a recommendation, but I want to like experiment with nursing like advisors. They would always pull out the major map and go like prove it with you. They wouldn't like make it according to you. They would just pull out the major map each time I was in the advisor. They would go through that with me each time. So has anybody else had that with their advisors? Yeah, the nursing advisor when I went there, they all just had the major map like I can't be like I just pull that out. So even though so even though it's like a recommendation, the advisors are very dead set on the major maps.
That's definitely bring that up too.
I think that'll just piggybacking on that. I think that's also a conversation here too, that making sure the advisors themselves know that it's not the end all be all, and trying to work with that flexibility that if you have a major map, that not just giving you the major map and saying figure it out, but if you express that you're concerned that you don't know how to work it, that they'll sit down with you and do some of the things we've heard. Because we hear good stories and we hear bad stories about the major, about advising especially. And so one of the things too is we don't want to basically destroy a tool that's helpful if it's simply the fact that the advisors are using it as a crutch. Now, if they're using it as a crutch, that might be a conversation we need to have with advising, that they can't just say, here's your major map, go, making sure that they actually work with you to figure out what needs to be done. So.
And then I just want to point out that some majors, like mine, for instance, like are pretty professional, you know. So I have to take all of the classes listed on mine, or else I am not be able to get into like PA school, medical school, or whatnot. So they are kind of structured in a way that you have to take them. It just depends on the major. So
I know Cronkites are pretty set on what you have to take.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know nursing is like that too. Like you can't get into the nursing program or finish the nursing program if you don't take the prerequisites listed, but it's still like separated into semesters, and I've definitely like changed around the topics per semester, so I guess there's still that like variability.
Any further discussion? All right, moving on to college updates. Start with Derek, college.
The only thing that I really have to say is that I've been talking with Hattie Hayes. I don't know if this is,
yeah.
But we've been talking about how there's a potential raise in the therapy, and so we're kind of trying to get as much information as possible about that so we can distribute it to the students, because most people have not heard about it. So we're kind of just figuring out, trying to get the most concrete information we can. And yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that's something I actually wanted to talk to you guys about before the meeting, but I got held up in a meeting with Dean Montoya. But so from my understanding, so when we were meeting with, so when I was talking to Howard, the West president, this is a fee that they've been talking about since last year. So they were proposing to raise it by $500, but I guess right now it's $250, and that's more for just a conversation. It'd be great if you guys sat down with her and talked about it, because that'd be the best person. But from what I got, is to provide equitable services between the campuses, because Tempe has all these resources, but if you look at downtown, it's kind of, it doesn't compare to Tempe. But yes, it is where a lot of things are, but to provide equitable services between the campuses. But yeah, just making sure to provide you with the best information on that.
We're paying $500 now.
So they'd be raising it a total of $250.
Oh.
A total of 250, like 250 each semester.
From my understanding.
Do you have anything?
Well, I I mentioned this at the caucus meeting, but I guess everybody wasn't there. So I got together with a group of a couple other Barrett nursing students, and we met with some of the nursing advisors or the Barrett nursing people, and we're starting a Barrett nursing club. So nursing students in Barrett can feel more affiliated with nursing-like things because we don't get a lot of that in Barrett. And so I met with them again, and we've been discussing how we're going to have a meeting, I think April 20th, to allow other Barrett nursing students to come and get ideas from them and what they want to see in the club. And then on top of that, I met with Diana Soto to go over the bags for our birthday event for GPAC, and I was able to actually order them. So,
Did both of you log your office hours this week?
yes.
Are you to the right lady to ask about suggestion boxes and potato quiz? What's going on with that?
Oh, I know you had kind of taken over that. We talked a little bit about it.
Nikita and I are working on making a QR code poster. We're gonna put in Taylor's place because she talked to people at the kitchen. They had their suggestion box, and they said that no one really pays attention to it, and it's kind of not taken seriously. So we were thinking instead of going straight to that, we could make the poster instead, and maybe if we get any comments on that or anyone asks about it or any feedback at all, then we can move on to the suggestion box. But we just didn't know if people would actually take their time to write it down. But we can talk about it too.
We can address it in your update.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Is that up for your report? Okay. Next, we'll move on to PSCS. Okay.
Okay. All right, so Public Service Academy just launched University Initiative. That's a very big deal, first in the nation, where we're going to have a civil service kind of branch. So it's kind of like the Peace Corps kind of training, like the proxy, but trying to make a Peace Corps and trying to integrate civil service and military things so that when we're going to these places, we might have a little bit more communication. Because one of the big things they've figured out is when they're out in these zones, such as Afghanistan, or even on more of the peaceful missions, they're not having coordination between security services as well as the civil branch. So this is a huge university initiative being basically spearheaded by our college, and we were happy to have a good little launch with press release earlier this week, this Tuesday. And that goes for that. Office hours, I did 3 in the office Thursday and 2 in Cronkite today. And that consisted mainly of trying to organize the policy items. I sent you guys out an email about all sorts of ABLE-related things coming on next week, including thank you to Zach for the Chipotle, but also we're going to be looking at the agenda and shortly breaking that down to tell you what spaces might be more important, so you're not sitting there for hours on things that might not affect you. So we're trying to basically budget our time better for that. And on Wednesday, there's going to be a little panel discussion hosted primarily by GPSA that's going to have Representative Mendez from the state legislature that's going to be visiting. He represents Tempe, but he's still basically another state representative. With the legislature, it is done for this year as of 3:34 a.m. So there's a lot of good things that happened with that. A lot of bills that were bad did not make it out. But we also didn't get any of our university regulatory reforms, so the universities are still sitting around with the cost of having to be stuck to the state health insurance. So that's not going to be too good for Crow. The University Senate meeting was this Monday. They had a lot of talk with Crow, which is not very good for us, and the fact that he was a little bit more honest on that fact that we probably are going to be facing an out-of-state tuition increase. He's not at all defending anything like that. That's almost assured. There's some new courses coming for nursing and health innovation, which are going to be not nursing for once, so that'll be interesting. Free health, and then there's also going to be a few new courses for our own college and advocacy of all that. Good times. And then lastly, with that, Senator Barbara Farstein from nursing and our own dean, Jonathan Capel, have apparently been lobbying for a long time to try to get it so we have bigger classrooms or reduced class sizes, because we hear complaints about things such as 200 people elbow to elbow in a Cronkite room and taking a general science course. So one of the things that we're looking at, especially doing next year, we're trying to start off now, is starting to organize those, essentially the whole stories of how many bad classes you guys have had in sciences and other places that have been overcrowded, or even things like the coders and GSEC, and trying to compile an actual student response to the University Senate to actually create pressure in that way. That way we can work. Because right now they're ignoring us when we bring them up in casual conversation, and they're ignoring the University Senate, even though they've been asking this for about every meeting this year. So that's the last thing. And finally, we have a meeting, we have contact with the Office of the University Architect, who are revitalizing the USEC lobby, doing things like that. And we're just trying to arrange a talk with them between the college council and that. And if we have information on your directory, we can push that into that as well. So we are getting meetings soon. Yeah. And that is my side of the house. You want me to first?
Okay, so basically I've been working on a lot of feedback stuff. We've had to change our event around a little bit just because we can't have direct sales onto the mall. So we are changing it upon Dr. Greg's advisory, advice, what am I saying, advice? And so we are probably just gonna pay the vendors like, $200 each for like a set amount of produce or whatever they might sell, and give it out to the students. In return, for a great idea, which Emily came up with, like recycling drive. So they bring their cans or plasticware, any kind of stuff like that, and how many items they bring, they get a certain amount of, either we have to come up with the process of like tokens or hand stamps, whatever. They get a certain amount of things they can go and turn that in for food. So say you like given 5 water bottles, maybe you get like $5 worth of stuff or 5 tokens worth of stuff. And so it's kind of exciting because it is on Earth Day, and that was our major intent behind it. So we're glad that we could kind of put that into it as well. Besides that, just planning that stuff, but. Okay. So yeah, and yeah, that's about it.
It might be kind of cool to like talk to businesses like in the area and see if they'd be down to like give out like free stuff, like have like 5 tokens of each, like this free like sample from wherever, like I don't know, like businesses in Roosevelt or something.
That's basically what we're already doing.
Okay.
I mean, Nikita and Lauren work on vendor. She can tell you more about it. That we have like JoBot will be there, selling their stuff.
Okay.
Us buying it and then giving our students. Whole Foods will be there for the produce veggies side of it.
That's cool.
Along with hopefully some Nicola Campos. Is that listening? Okay. So anyway, never mind. I'm not getting money. Just getting ideas. But yeah, so we and then we have hopefully a homeless person, we're working on that, and then a person. And delicious loaves. Anyway, so yeah, it's looking exciting.
All right, next up, Cronkite.
Hi. I don't know, so I was a week here on Friday and this month Wednesday, and I wasn't here at Columbus a week ago because I was at a leadership meeting with Cronkite, and there was someone from Cronkite Village, Taylor Place, and Alexis Kramer from the Cronkite College Council, and a few other representatives and employees. And so that was really good. Our Dean Callahan is really interested in the new funding process and wants us to help get the word out about, he just wants more clubs to know how easy it is and also how much money there is for us to give to student organizations, because he feels like that's an untapped resource. So that's something that we'll be working on. Zach and I are meeting with him on the 11th, on the 10th.
Yeah, I think so. I'll check
on the 10th. And no, our meeting is really quickly. And then, so yeah, that's going on. And then, Dean Callahan is good. He's really supportive of USGD, and he's really excited that like I said, that we changed the funding process because we think that's going to be a really big deal, which it is. And in university affairs, we are working next week with members from the Blaze Radio to make a promo, and this is, if anyone wants to be involved, just talk to me. But we're interested in making a promo kind of saying, you know, that the USGD offices are located where they are, and that, you know, and just having a little, just hello, just the USGD presence, because we're, you know, big supporters of Blaze Radio. And so I think that would be good for there to actually be some partnership there. And so that's something that they're willing to work on. So if anyone has any opinions or wants to be involved in the promo that we make, definitely shoot me an email about that. And that's all I have.
All right, next we have Health Solutions.
Okay. So the poster thing, I'm sorry they haven't made the posters yet, but all you do is make it and then give it all. That's it, I just want to put it out. That's all my process, and it's Lawrence free afterwards, which means we are like right after, and we send out to you. Maybe you guys probably be on it too. And feedback, I've been talking to vendors. I'll be talking to them all over again. There's a lot of stuff I got in strong stuff out. Feedback. And the CPR event just got fully funded, thankfully, and that will be happening on the 25th.
Update on the CPR, we're currently sitting at 43 students that have signed up. So we still have a couple spots available if anyone's interested. It is completely free. We'd like to have at least 10 students on the wait list as well. So please promote that. I think Eric from this posted that. Alright. And then in a week and a half, we have our really big event on Wednesday, April 15th. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have a lot of like I said, for the week now, medical schools, dental schools, and now we're looking to have possible medical school lecture coming, and that'll be really cool for students to, you know, kind of sit through one of those and see what it's like. So we're planning on having, I don't know, probably about 500 students there and whatnot. The funding request we put in for the food last week turned out to be an error, and that we can't request that kind of food because I found out that it's supposed to be more for the vendor, so we're not getting that approved. But we're trying to get the rest of the event funded. We're $287 shy with the posters. And PDX came in with the wrong quote. So we have to figure that out. And we're looking to try to get money from table, which is around $1,000. I sent you an email talking about all of that. So we're kind of in a hole right now because we're looking to get these guys back. So that concludes my update.
So last, nursing.
I'll make it short, so I don't have anything going on. Finally have a new partner. Hopefully they stay around for the rest of the semester, 5 weeks. So, yeah, I'll be on it. I'm not a partner, but regardless, kidding. I actually don't really have anything going on, so if anybody needs that board or Senate needs help anywhere, just shoot me an email, text me, or just say, hey, I need some help, and I'll really do anything. Office hours? They don't want office hours. Yes. I did too. Oh, email people, and nothing else, nothing really. Yeah, here.
Alright, do you have anything, any update? I know you just got here, but.
Hi, that's it.
Cool. Alright, so let's move on to VAC discussion. Oh, you do have something to talk about?
Oh, yes, I do. So I guess I'm good at painting, so if anyone needs posters done or anything artsy, creativeness, I can help with that. Oh, and I'm helping with design posters for everything.
Okay. So up next, BAC discussion, Mr. Admiral.
Discussion.
I was, Orion, I don't know, Schreier.
I'll take it. So, we just want to let you guys know what's going on with BAC, which is we're at the natural kind of limit here, where one of the jokes is, as we heard earlier, we've done a really great job at getting good organizations to it. Now we're at the end of the year, and now we're getting towards that kind of point where we're running low on funds. So, to be honest, make sure that everything is good. Make sure you don't have the wrong folks. Because if you do, there's no going back at this point. Wrong folks will be denied. And so that's why we're going to try to make sure that everyone knows all student organizations that are coming in for funding requests for these last ones need to know their information. They need to basically have all the documentation, and they have to defend it, because this last little burden will be that kind of system. And besides that, we can, if we wanted to, it could be community discuss, probably discuss more BAC on whether or not we keep the system like this, because the fact is, with this so far, we've hit the point where it's been, as many student organizations now know it, we're probably going to continue to hit this unless the funding sources change, which requires either a branch of the government to be requesting less, or an increase in the student fee. Both are not exactly likely nor necessarily great. And so the current system right now is we're just kind of doing the system thing of there wasn't too many absurd funding requests. The ones that were absurd were cut down. So the current system is just basically moving on and saying that we're going to do the same thing, and then when times get tough towards the end, there's going to be a little more cuts. But if there's any more ideas on other improvements or variations, that I'll probably discuss in BAC, unless you would like to discuss it here. This is more of an information piece, though, that everyone's student organizations know. Once again, just for emphasis, know your funding requests back and forth, have all the documentation in, and be ready to defend it. Because it's down to that wire where there will be funding requests that will be denied.
I have a question. So, okay. So, with the BAC, I heard that you guys were reserving funds for upcoming events that they haven't even put in the request yet. Is that true? Or? So how is that fair? How does all like person to person basis?
Are you thinking about the requests that we have to fund? Well, those are things that the USGD are almost expected to fund, things like the spring plow and what we were for the visual students. So those have to come out of our budget. Just because of the
Yeah. So, and this is where I would like to actually have a structural discussion, is that the current system of first come, first serve does have caveats, which is we're expected to be putting in money for the digital awards because all the governments are putting in money for the digital awards. We were also expected to basically put in money through tradition for Big 3, which is Spring Luau. Now, that's where there is an inherent little bit of unfairness, but the other thing is, if we go off of values and merits, these are the events that are also the largest events. They're also huge university events for the most part. I mean, Spring Luau is open to others, and Spring Luau is also a keystone, capstone, and happens every year. It's always huge. They get at least 500 people almost every single time. So that's where we have to try to balance, and that's where we can say case by case, but having some kind of a guideline or at least agreement, at least within BAC, of what we think works, what we think doesn't. We never really had that discussion for most of the year, so now we're kind of in this. So this would be more for the next year, but currently, yes, there are funds reserved for Spring Luau and the Pitchfork Awards because of the nature of those agreements.
I brought up the point, I forgot if it was during the meeting or after, but that maybe coming up with the fixed costs that USGD does have to provide. So say, fall welcome, the spring luau, any like Big 3 stuff that we do every year, passports and Phoenix, that already comes out of our budget, kind of like how PAB already comes out of our budget. It'd be something like that. So then the rest of the year, we have this lump sum that directly goes to the organization or, other stuff that we do. But, and that also breaking the budget up by not just semester, but by quarter. So that, we don't just see this big, sum of money at the beginning of the semester and say, okay, let's send it out kind of thing. That, we only have half of that, which is a lot smaller and a lot more manageable to, give out to student organizations. Because, yeah, when you see like a huge amount of money, you're not as worried about it. Right when you get your paycheck, it's awesome. You're like, let's do whatever. But the day before you get your paycheck, not so much. So it's kind of like that, you work better with a smaller amount of money.
One more question. Do you mean, like your idea, do you mean like giving the big three like a certain like amount of our money at the beginning of the year so they can use it?
No, I think she means like putting off to the side, like here's money that we're not.
That we're expecting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like she was talking about expecting stuff.
So per event, like say, we're gonna spend only this much, like for big events. Am I missing?
No,
So the current way that the budget is organized is it is split up. So when I present my budget to administration, it says this fixed cost is for PAB, this fixed cost is for the bike co-op, this fixed cost goes to a one-time project that we want to do at maybe. And then there's another set for participatory budgeting. So I guess if we did, calculate what we traditionally are to fund, we can maybe put that in a separate column or something. But again, every board would have to come back and request funds, just like PAB, even though they are structured in our budget, they're like every other organization, they have to come and apply for funds. Or we could say traditionally, this is about what we fund.
Just on that, would it be impossible to, at the beginning of every semester, take those fixed costs for the things that we're expected to put on and just take that immediately out, like the request those immediately, so we're not left with a shadow amount?
Like the USGD would?
Yeah, like the USGD just accepts them requests at the very beginning of the next semester for the school to allow all these different things, just so at the very end we do.
Well, I think that goes against like, 300 plus, you have to have the line item breakdown. That's kind of like the instance where we talked about if the college council puts on 2 events, we're gonna throw $2,000. So I think we still have to have that itemized breakdown. If they can get it in August for spring.
I know in, like say my checking account, do you have an available balance and you have a total balance? Can you do something like that? Like our available balance does kind of figure in those fixed costs, but our total balance doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we could do something like that, like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's easy, that's just organization.
Yeah.
I'm just coming up with like tools that the DAC members can use as they look at the budget and as they go into the meetings, visualizing how much money we actually have. Because we've had the problem of maybe not being as strict as we should the rest of the year. And the last meeting was really like, the hammer was down, which made us feel almost uncomfortable just because we weren't used to it. So I mean, that's really just a tool for us as members.
So I definitely agree with that, and so we can put them into fixed costs. And what I would suggest is making them more like, this is what we traditionally funded. And then you can add it or subtract it depending on how the financial health is later. Make it not necessarily set the funding request now and done, but having that set aside. And that's why I like that with a lot from Liz here, because that would be able to do it that way. And the other thing is just don't want to get too caught up in like creating these. When you have these separated ones, you also want to have transparency. One of the greatest things Frank has been putting PAB on the actual cutting block. Because otherwise, this was just 103,000. You never saw the 103,000. No one ever saw the 103,000. It just came on PAB. So making sure that that's kept in check. With that being said, the other parts of this is if you want to try to create basically lists of this is how much we probably should be spending on, and then the others place that way. But lastly, USGD might have to take some own funding things where it's probably not good for us to be having funding requests for events we host after the event has been done. That is really bad. We've done that. Passport, we did it. There's been times where we've actually had debts that came to us. Some debts we can definitely incur easily, like the Taylor Fest t-shirts, because of the nature of Taylor Fest being before funding requests actually begin, can be dead. But when we're actually operating, we probably shouldn't be basically buying things and coming back later. Because one, if we guarantee our own reimbursements, that looks really bad and we deny somebody else's reimbursement. And then two, basically, it also screws us up because we went $5,000 more down because we didn't really have a choice on a funding request for passport meetings because it already happened. So that should be another thing to keep in mind, is making sure that USG does not commit its own funds on a regular basis and then basically comes back afterwards to basically get the funding. Because that'll make it harder for us to deny reimbursements. And once again, it cuts into our numbers. It's literally having $5,000 less without actually having that reported. So.
Okay, any other discussion?
On that point, I don't think it's mentioned already, but the VAC is talking about, for members of the VAC who want to be a part of the VAC voting and training process for that now. Because I feel like the consensus was that these members are sometimes overwhelmed with the VAC process, and especially with the VAC now being transferred to an allocations process, it would be extremely beneficial for new members to go through a expert training program and have staff and Mr. Boyer to help develop that for future members.
Anything else? All right, we'll move on to all the audience. We don't have an audience. Final statements. Is there anything anyone wants to address before we end?
I just wanted to give one update of Karina's during my updates, which is that Slice for Advice is April 15th. The last Slice for Advice for the semester, April 15th, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Taylor Mall. Mark your calendars. I don't know why I said that with an accent. Calendars. Be available. Be there. Or be square. That's about all I got.
One more thing to ask. Is there any way we can move like remaining exec funds back into the student funds?
Those are two different fees. Operations comes from the vice president's office, and student fee is money that's paid for through the student fee budget. You can't do that. They come from two different sources.
Statement, yay. Okay, last thing. I just wanted to mention that we're using GovOps for the last bit to basically look at the structure of Senate, especially. So please, if you have any ideas on things of how to get job descriptions for your positions, job descriptions for your committees, we're probably going to be running bills that actually clarify what downtown Phoenix Affairs probably does, what University Affairs probably does. And we're even looking at combining those two because traditionally University Affairs doesn't really get to do that much, just because most of their ideas end up going back to things that downtown Phoenix Affairs are doing. So we're looking into that. So if you have opinions on how the committee structure should work, if you have ideas of what we should put into your job descriptions as you now lived through the job for a year, please send that to me. Or Enrique, or Lauren, or anybody else from the next administration.
Any other statements? Nope. Okay. I move to adjourn. I always forget we vote to adjourn, don't we?
Yeah.
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjourning at 4:12, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The abstentions.
Hi.